I must say this is more of an emotional experience than I expected. I really liked your song. And I wanted to make one thing clear, that I think there are two worlds. And the people who are adamant in changing people who have lives of their own, like in the downtown east side, are living their life the way they live their life. And the point is that, so be it, it has been this way all over the world for millenniums. And there are business people and people who want homes and people who want children, and there are artists, and there are nomadic people, and we live a different life than the other side. And the other side always wants this side to go over there, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work, you know? They just don't understand, you know? You know, there's millions of fish in the oceans and the seas, and they all...
Except sockeye. We don't have sockeye.
Sockeye. I'm also doing a huge project. Yeah? I'm also doing... I have embarked on a big project on the beluga whales here in Vancouver, and unfortunately it's been stalemated because of all this moving and homelessness. So I'm, you know, going to be very happy when I start it again. I actually have a card up there that I'm selling on the beluga whale, or a sketch that I've done. But I wanted to say that if you don't fall in love with a flower as an artist, you'll never ever be able to paint, really. You know, I think it coincides with your song. There is no cost to love, really. You know, you fall in love and, you know, it produces what it produces.
There's no cost to love?
Well, there is cost in a way.
Hey,
That's the other side.
I was married once. I don't know. That's pretty expensive. For her,
but
too,
then was
I guess.
it real? No.
That's another show. It's a relationship show.
Before I forget, I also wanted to say thank you to the tremendous amount of people that supported me in the downtown east side, and for all the other people who supported me, you know, coast, and like I had an unsurmountable amount of people supporting me in some way through the struggle.
Did you find like there's a bit of pride in not having to ask?
Not having to ask?
For help and going into these places and feel like, oh, I could just figure it out on my own? And
well, I think that's difficult, because I think when you're in a position of being pushed into being homeless in the sense because of the economics of what's going on right now, it's devastating to the psyche. It's not fun, and it's, yeah. I mean, the people that I saw in the shelters, yeah, I'm not sure. There's a great amount of disrespect.
Right. How's it being a woman in the shelters? Like, what's the...
A woman? Oh, yeah. My God. Yeah. We were worse than the men. It was terrible. So my floor was just absolutely horrendous.
I should be talking to them then about you.
The women should just get a slap in the face. I'm serious.
Well, tell us stories. Like, come on. Now you've opened it. You
don't want to hear my first story.
Yes, we do.
No, I'm just saying that the way I found, well, sometimes I guess it was the men, you know, I mean, they can really lash out. But I found there was not very many women compared to men there. And it was supposed to be one of the better ones. There were no bed bugs. There was nothing. You know, we got 3 meals a day. We got our laundry done. I mean, it was, you know.
It's a higher end.
Yeah,
it's
well.
Like a 1.5 star versus
call it
a
higher
half star.
End. But anyways,
yeah.
I think the underlying thing that I noticed was a great disrespect. You know, I'm not on meds, drugs, alcohol. I'm not on any of that, right? But most everybody else was or is, and I I would talk about it to the staff because I don't particularly like being disrespected, regardless.
So
And
this is the staff, you're saying, or just, someone had mentioned that being in a shelter is kind of like prison. You got to be there by 11
Yeah,
and
that's
then
a lot
out
of-
at 8
yeah.
and your feeding is scheduled and that kind of thing. Is that,
Yeah, feeding is scheduled, but people have a tendency to think that this place is theirs, you know, so they, I don't know. I just found it absolutely horrendous. I think women should really get their act together. I'm serious. I was just horrified, you know.
that's interesting.
I don't find it interesting. I find it very difficult to accept, especially women who are on drugs and alcohol and abuse themselves that way. I find it extremely difficult to accept them.
It's painful, or is it like?
Maybe it is painful for me. I don't know. You know.
What I found, I can relate. I went to the shelters. I was really young when I was going to the shelters, and I was seeing a lot of women and men abusing themselves. And I have to say, I wasn't really overly addicted to any substance. And but at the same time, I really I was on the streets for so long that I really learned to accept that, and people are just trying to get away from reality. And I think that was a huge thing for me. I knew that I just wanted to get away from this reality that I was living. It wasn't only the fact that I was homeless, but it was just seeing the ignorance in people and seeing that there's so much that we need to change. And in some ways that made me really bitter and jaded, but it also made me realize that everybody just has their own life. And I think that, yeah, sure, we may not be able to necessarily accept that within ourselves, but we can just accept that that's who they are, you know?